And welcome everybody to the weekly update. And this past week has been a lot of up and down, in and out, bonds, no bonds, are we good, we bad? So sprinkle some Powell in there, and it has been pretty chop-tastic. But on Friday, we did have some bank news. Bank shares essentially started going lower because of the Fed's decision on capital requirements. So now essentially banks need to have some reserves that was waived last March on essentially the whole outbreak. But coming into this, they decided not to renew it. With that information that came out, the market did not essentially like that at all. Banks took quite a hit today, and then not too bad out of the gate. They did take a big hit, but not bad enough to really warrant what happened the rest of the day. I know the bonds in particular have been fluctuating. I'll actually bring that up for you guys. Let me see here. Just be patient. So yeah, the bonds today, I am recording this on a Friday night, so it is after the bell. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But being said, the 10-year bonds, they've really been fluctuating the past, let's see, what is this, 1 hour? Actually, let's look at the daily. But they've really fluctuated, right? You're looking at 14th. I mean, we've been kind of starting to stabilize a little bit more here. I was watching the bonds primarily today, and I mean, we've really been floating around this 1.71. I believe it actually got down to 1.68 at one point yesterday evening, and then it started fluctuating back up. Back up to that 7.5. But being said, it's been kind of stalling here. So I don't know if we've actually found a bottom quite yet. It seems to be kind of finding a bottom. I know that's ultimately what's had a grip on tech, had a grip on the market. I know we're all tired of hearing it. But that's essentially what's going on. The bonds are just wreaking havoc. Markets wanting Powell to do something, although he said he wouldn't do anything to this point. But again, we do have Powell a couple different times this week. I know he is making a public appearance 3 different times this week. But being said, it's one thing to keep an eye on. I don't know if we're going to trade sideways for another week. We're going to open gap up and then slam down, or gap down and slam up. I think there's going to be a lot more of that this week. I know this past week I've actually been looking at scalping for the most part, right? Like I haven't taken any swings. I did actually grab some shares of Roblox on Friday here, but being said, it's not a huge position, but again, everything is coiling very nicely, to be honest. Everything is playing a very nice range. Most things have not dropped. Most things, again, are holding very well. It's the big leaders like Tesla and some of the other companies, but ultimately understanding that Tesla has taken one of the biggest hits. And then you got something like Facebook, who's been doing the complete opposite and running. So there's a lot of very weird movement in the market. Again, the bonds have definitely have a death hold on the market and what's going on. But again, Tesla taking the grunt of everything this past week. But let me go ahead and I'm going to remove this and swap over to the charts, and then expand this Goldman Sachs, like I said, a lot of the banks did this even Thursday coming into today. That news came out and we kind of flushed down, although we held pretty well. Again, there was no real news. I think everybody was kind of anticipating this. There was a lot of news coming out that essentially the markets or the banks were good, right? There was no concern for the banks. So being said, there was that initial scare, the banks came down, but then they held. But ultimately understanding that it's actually a good sign, right? Like the banks, they don't need that. But again, it's market digestion. What is really going to happen from this point? And we've really been seeing what's happening with a massive sell-off this morning. But we bounced right back. We bounced back actually really quickly, actually almost into the close, and then we sold off again. So again, coming into this week, even looking at QQQ, QQQ has kind of played a range. I know we've had this. It's definitely been ultimately just playing this range here for the past couple of weeks. We had dipped down. We are below the 200, but I really don't think that's a big deal at this point. I do not think we're going down. I think once we get over this bond yields, maybe we get some information next week about change in the way Mr. Powell is going to approach this whole thing. But I don't believe we're going to. I know even looking over the past week, we was actually live and talking. I believe that came out on Wednesday. And when he did his discussion, he was actually kind of getting a little choked up, which leads me to believe that there might have been something on his mind. I don't want to buy too much into that because he's stood ground on everything for quite a while. Again, I don't really see him changing anything. The public appearances, I think, might just be already pre-scheduled. I don't think this was something out of the blue. I think it might have just been highlighted by the news to try to force Powell's hands. I don't know if that's the case or not, but again, QQQ is still holding range. That's ultimately what matters at this point. So we've been bouncing back and forth. Again, bonds were good one day we're not. So it really just depends. TLT has actually been it's been holding fairly well over the past 2 days. So it's interesting to see the way that the market is playing this. I mean, everything is kind of sideways. Again, Tesla took a big hit. I scalped Tesla a lot on Friday. I scalped it out of the gate going down, and it caught the bounce up. And then I actually caught this bottom bounce and rode this back up. And then it just kind of went flat the rest of the day. I know Airbnb was much the same. It sold off and then caught back. I did miss this one, though, because I was playing Tesla. But ultimately, a lot of these look really good. There's going back to Tesla. A lot of these are playing solid range, right? We're back into that range. We sat in this range for a while. Now, the question is do we sell off more or do we go up from this point? If this is going to be a big coil, I believe a big move is going to come out of this. And if I had to put my money somewhere, I would say that it is going to be bullish. But again, I mean, it's the market. It can give you anything it wants to give you, right? So you can't just buy into that. Ultimately, I have bullish positions. But being said, a very interesting week what's coming up. Again, I can see us going a lot of sideways, doing a lot of the same action we did this week because we got so much Powell this week. I think there's a lot of hype. Again, if it was already pre-planned, all these meetings that he's had, we'll schedule it in even before any of this mess has come up. Could very well be, and then it's just being kind of blown out of proportion. He's going to reiterate what he always does. He's going to save us for the rest of the day. And then we're going to dump overnight and then replay this thing all week. So if that doesn't sound like something you're excited about and you don't want to be scalping or building a position for later on in the next couple of months or investing, I would definitely probably stay away from this week and take a break because overnight swings and stuff like that are really unpredictable right now in the market. It's very sideways action. You have to be in and out quick or looking to build positions. But ultimately, Apple in itself, it's again stuck in this down wedge. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, still playing range. I mean, Apple's range is a little bit bigger, but everything is consolidating, coiling. I can go through every one of these tickers. Facebook's actually very different. Facebook's actually took off today. I don't know if there was actually news on Facebook, but Facebook has kind of just gone the opposite way of the market. The same with Roblox. Roblox has had a lot of hype, although it's starting to get stuck in a range and play here. I did take a position again here today in shares. I didn't take any options in Roblox. Again, that's for a longer swing for the year. BYND. Again, everything playing range. A lot of these are looking the same. Spot actually has great consolidation. I can really see this moving once this market figures out when is go. Twilio is another great one. As soon as they give the go word, I think it's going to take off. Etsy, another one. A lot of consolidation. Like I said, there's a lot of ones in here that have tremendous consolidation. Snap, it's looking good for the most part, right? Even on the dailies, I mean, it's interesting to see on the daily. See a lot of stuff drop back down in. Snap, ultimately, it doesn't look the greatest because normally what will happen is once it hits that 50, it will test the 20 and then drop again from there. Again, right now, we're really weighing on a lot of news. To be honest, any news like pops the market back up and starts running again. So PLTR, I'm still holding this. It's actually very solid to start basing out again today. It looks good. That the 2450 mark has always been a mark over the past month. Essentially, this thing has just been holding very well right here. NNDM actually held up tremendously well here. It's building new support, consolidating. NNOX is actually really good too. I almost took this position here. I was wedging and actually broke out of the wedge. I didn't get the alert. I don't know what happened. I actually had alert to break out of this wedge, but I'll see what happens overnight. Hopefully this doesn't gap up over the weekend. But if it's looking like this, more consolidation on Monday, I'll definitely get into NNOX. That's definitely a good one to keep on watch. Fastly consolidation. Roku consolidation, right? It's looking for some really good ones. I mean, for me, I'm going for my two primaries coming out of this, I think are going to be Tesla and Airbnb. I've been scalping them. They're my favorite scalp positions. PLTR, NNDM, very good company, and Planet 13, I think are going to be some of the major front runners. Once the word go, there's going to be a lot of them. Baidu, I've been watching Baidu. It has great consolidation too. It's just as soon as it breaks this 276 mark, I think that's the go. And then after that point, Baidu could really take off. They're very good company. It's been consolidating for a while. It's actually been down quite a bit for the past couple months, actually, to be honest. It does need a break over this trend, although this trend was drawn on a different time frame, I believe. But ultimately, it's looking good. I mean, it's actually, it looks like a descending wedge here, which could be the case on the daily. So you could see a big breakout here. It's been building up this anticipation. I won't be surprised this really break out on a very good food company. I know, again, earnings and everything is coming up for that. Planet 13, it's actually bumped back up and holding this range well. So it's holding that 650 range very well too. Evogen, another good one, just needs to break over this 570, and then it could tear back up to all-time highs again. I think that's essentially everything's building up. It's almost like someone's building positions and messing with these bonds for exactly that purpose. Now that all this money is getting flooded into the market, I think there's going to be some massive overstimulated market at that point. So it's just being patient, right, and trying to get through these next couple of weeks. I think we got another week and a half, maybe even two at most, in my opinion. But we'll definitely have to see how that works out and how next week plays out with Powell. See if his hand is forced or what is going on. But ultimately, just try to play it safe, right? There's a lot of tremendously good companies that are down from their highs. Maybe this is new normalization. Maybe you won't see those high prices anymore. I don't know. I doubt that, but we'll have to see where we go from here. That being said, NIO could be another good one. I've actually been eyeing NIO. I haven't really played NIO since this whole run up, but NGA had a nice little pop after hours. I don't know if they finally got their news today or not. Let's see. 3D printing, Proto Labs actually still looking good. That's same with SYSS is also looking very good. Both consolidating nicely. Walmart still playing range, holding well. I mean, a lot of these space has tremendously good consolidation coil going on here. I mean, some of them really have it. Snow actually dipped back down in the zone. If you are looking at Snow, not a fan of Snow, but it is still hitting that range again. So it's back in this. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if it pops out of here. That 220 is a solid base. You could definitely build in my opinion, although this is not financial advice, you could definitely build a strong position out of this one leading into the coming weeks, as long as you're okay with that. PayPal, another good one that's dipping down a little bit. I know banks, again, kind of took a little bit of a hit the past 2 days. PayPal is kind of following that. Lemonade, kind of doing the same kind of thing. Bingo actually looks good. It's got great consolidation. Definitely want to break over this 975 mark. If we break over that, then we can get some real movement out of it. Chips, even though there's this limited supply of chips, eventually I think chips are really going to run, but it's just getting that. I know Biden was talking about making that a priority. So being said, if he does announce anything, these things could I wouldn't doubt these things gap up overnight. Again, it's definitely a lot of stuff is playing on news right now and being held down by bond yields and news events that are associated with everything right at this point. Amazon, a lot of these are very sideways. Shop, I mean, again, there's a lot of really good ones. It really depends. Even the value stocks, some of the value is holding, but it looks like it's getting ready to roll over. And that's one concern of mine, is that value stocks are going to start rolling over once tech starts pushing up. So just be mindful of that. So be cautious of that. Do your due diligence and set your stops, however you manage risk. If you are in value stocks, because if tech again starts running, that money I think is going to be pulled quickly out of value and shifted over. Uber, again, a lot of sideways action. Trying to think here. Peloton. Yeah, there's nothing, again, aside from the scalping, nothing too crazy right now. SAVA is actually consolidating nicely, looking ready like it's ready to start stair-stepping its way back up. So SAVA might be a good one to watch come next week as well. Tilray, it looks like it's building here as well. Possible breakout. So this might actually break out come Monday, if this isn't consolidated all the way up to here, and then possible breakout maybe. AMC, a nice consolidation. It looks like it's starting to break down now. If you really want to play, AMC is still a good value play, I think, with everything starting to reopen. We'll have to see how that plays out. It is high right now. GME, again, it's building a strong base. Again, if you want to pay GameStop, $200 for GameStop, that's up to you. I think that's a big risk that you're putting on the table. But ultimately, GME, it looks, I mean, if it was just a regular stock, It looked like Tesla or something. You took the name off of it, took off the price, and I was looking at it. I'd be like, that's a fantastic setup. It's one of my favorite setups, actually, but it is GME. So take that into the equation. I don't really like it that much. TAP. Let's see here. DM. DM looks like it's starting to break out here as well and doing well. SSYS. Again, great consolidation, just like Proto Labs. 3D printing will come back around and start swinging back up again, in my opinion. I think it will. QS, Qscape is building nicely. I actually keep missing this tag in this zone, but it is holding well. It's one of those things that's not really selling off like crazy. So this would be a position I would actually look to get into, but I think that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Coming into next week, again, we got a lot of Powell, a lot of things to keep on watch. Watch bonds, bond yields. My thing is if bonds continue to stick around that 7 to 7.5 mark, I think we are probably actually pretty good from that point. We definitely have to see what is going to happen with that. If it is corrected by Powell, if not, I think if Powell does say he's going to start buying 10-year bonds, I think TLT might be the play at that point, and something to keep in mind. But that is one thing I'm always watching, and one thing I'll relay to you guys is that if he does say something, that's what I'm going to be looking at anyway. But I haven't been given the word, and so till then I'll be scalping or waiting for tech to recover. But being said, let's make this another great week. Manage risk, and let's go make that money. All right, guys, I'll see you later.